Hello and welcome to the Feedback Show. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
And for the first time, I think, for this Feedback Show, we are actually in the same place.
Side by side.
Which is really weird. We used to do podcasts ages ago when I was still living down here in Broadstairs. We used to do podcasts opposite each other. And and now we are doing a Feedback Show. We don't do the podcast anymore, even though it might sound like we are in the same place. We're not for the podcast.
No, well, that's because you're very clever, Steve, and you've managed to make it sound as though we're together.
Yeah, and now we're trying with the Feedback Show as well. So I hope you can all hear us. We're on a built-in microphone, obviously, because we're sitting at the same computer. And this week, I didn't even realise this week until I was just browsing through, is that they're mainly dogs this week.
That's right.
Lots of dog pictures. So people are loving their dogs over the summer, clearly. So we've got a lot of pictures to go through. Just a quick note, we've had lots of lovely emails based on last week's podcast. If people haven't tuned in already for last week's podcast, then definitely take a listen, because we had a special announcement and we've had lots of really lovely replies.
That's very nice of people.
Very supportive.
Yeah.
And we just had another call today with Craftsy to finish up the lesson and the planning for it. So we're pretty much ready to go, aren't we?
Yeah, all ready to go, yeah. And looking forward to it too.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really exciting. So let's start looking at some of your artwork. The first one is from Bonnie. Bonnie says, "Hi Colin and Stephen, I would love to have you review this pastel of a very chubby boxer. I'm following your videos, but I wanted to use this reference photo instead. I guess I would like to know how I can improve it in any way. Also, should I put in the background, and how would I start it? I've attached a reference photo and a drawing. Thank you for what you do. The most difficult part to me was the nose and the mouth." This is a tough picture, isn't it?
It is, and considering how difficult it is, you've done extremely well, I've got to tell you. A couple of points though, if I might be so bold. Something you can do something about now and something you can't do something about now. What you can't do anything about is the poor little lad's left ear. You cut him off a bit. Now, in art, you've got to watch something like that. There's nothing wrong with just doing a cut off ear if you cut off a bit of the other one, or if you trim it a little bit more to make it more of a close-up. But when you chop a little bit of the ear off, that it shows. Now, I wouldn't do anything about it. You can't do anything about it. You don't want to do it again, and you can't add it on. But I mention it because it's important that you do something the next time. And everybody out there, when I did a cat, about 6 months ago, I did a cat for a friend of mine who had an ear, top of the ear chopped off. Now, I couldn't leave it like that, so I had to add it on. Now, if you look at your dog there, it wouldn't be very difficult to add a little bit, to guess where that would be. Are you with me?
Mm.
Okay, so that's something you can't do anything about. That's for next time. For this time, I would certainly close in on the right-hand side and bring that just a little. I'd lose quite a bit of that. Stephen's going to do some magic, folks.
As you're here.
Go on, keep, stop. That's it. Now, assuming that the other ear is in, that would be about perfect.
Gotcha.
In terms of balance. Do you see how much nicer it looks, Steve?
So I can see why, because looking at the reference photo, she's copied the reference photo entirely, which is great. But there's artistic license you can do with the composition.
Absolutely. It focuses the dog becomes central, and I think everybody out there will agree it looks great.
Mm.
So that's as it is. I don't think you need to do anything more about it. As far as the mouth and tongue is concerned,
and the nose,
not bad. Nose, I think is okay, and I certainly think that's acceptable. All right. The mouth, well, it's not quite pinky enough. Now, if you were to use, let me think about it. I think 131 is the color that comes to mind. If you just put a little bit of 131 on top of what you've already done, that will bring it into more the color that it is on the Boxer. If that didn't work on its own, there's another color called 226, I believe it is, which is like a pinky reddy color. You could put just a little touch of that on. It would make it just a little bit more bright. Got me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where that may be just a bit dull, but I'm being picky.
Yeah.
Because I really don't think that's too bad. And the other small thing is, you see the light above the left nostril. Got it? Did you find that? Now that light, is it a light or is it a marking?
Mm.
Do you see what I mean? What I would have done there is I'd have filled that in.
Taken that out.
Well, taken it out.
Or filled it in, whatever.
Whichever way you want to put it. Even if it was a marking, it does confuse. So I just make it look like the rest of it.
Oh, okay.
It's only another small thing. So there's the two. There's your tips.
What about the background? Should she put in the background?
This is difficult, but I would certainly I would use. I would start probably with a grey, and I'm not sure what grey you're using there, the light grey, but it's
whatever, the cool or the warm.
270. It doesn't really matter, really, to be honest, because you're going to put colour on top of it. Probably maybe a warm grey, because there's an awful lot of ochre in that picture. So 270, warm grey all over. Into that, put some of the tones that you can see. That pink on the tongue would be nice, just a touch of it. Sometimes it depends on whether it's does it say it's a male or a female? Don't think
Can't
it
really
says.
tell.
Okay, well, you know whether it's a male or female. If it's a female, you can put a little bit more pink in. If it's a male, you can put a mid-grey in, say, and maybe with a little bit of ochre. You've seen me do many backgrounds, so just follow some of them. What's important is that you have contrast. So where you go down the left-hand side, you see where the light area is hitting the background, where you need to put something darker in there so that it shows up that area. Okay?
Great. Oh, that's really, really good tips. Thanks, Dad. So moving on to the next one, some more boxes here from Karen. Hi, Stephen, Colin. This is a painting for my sister of her 2 dogs. It's the first attempt at dogs, so I'm pleased with the result. I took some tips from your boxer exercise and worked from photos. I found getting the reddy brown colour hard as the pencil kept scratching the paper, so I had to mix the two. I think the most challenging was on the pup, getting the white to show up. I wasn't quite sure what colour to shade it with. As you can see, the reference photo isn't very good, so took the details from other photos. Also, I have no idea what to do with the background. Should I leave it, Karen?
No, you shouldn't leave it. And one of the things I'm going to do is going to ask just Steve to use his magic again. I want that.
Prop in.
I want it to come up here. I'll tell you when to stop. Stop. Maybe come down a touch more, just a touch more. Now, what you'll have to do with that, that's where I would suggest you leave it. It would be too difficult to put a background and make them float
around the feature.
No.
Oh, yeah.
So all you'd have to do if you did what I'm suggesting now is that you could just finish off the areas on the pup and the dog. It wouldn't be a problem. You'd be able to do that easily. But again, look how much different it looks. As far as background is concerned, again, very similar to the last one. I'd put a grey in again, simply because that's, I don't know whether it's on our paper. It's difficult to tell whether it's on our paper or on another colour. Anyway, it's not far off, is it? But I put grey on, light grey, and into that I would put the colours that you see again that I've showed you before. I told you before on the previous colour. You'll just have to make those colours up.
What about the background, like in the boxer dog picture that you did?
Yes, by all means follow that. As I said, there's lots and lots and lots of backgrounds on a member's site that you'll be able to pick something from. You wouldn't have a problem, but that would look a lot better doing that.
What about the reddy brown, getting that reddy brown effect?
Well, you just, it sometimes the dark, I can see what you mean. There isn't really in our range already brown beyond the 283. And 283 is the darkest you've got. Now, if you look at that ear, the little pup's ear, look how dark you've made that. Now, you've managed that somehow. Now, that would be great if you put that down, you know, the bottom and made it a little darker. So you've made it, you've done it. So you know how you've done it. And it worked quite well.
What about the white on the reference photo? That white is looks so flat, doesn't it? So getting that kind of shading on the actual picture.
Well, this is greys again. You'd need the warm greys and pinks and mix them together.
So a bit of pink in there as well.
Surprisingly enough, yes, I would use, if you use the pinks that we've got in our range and you mix them with the mid greys, you'll find you'll get a better tone. If you try to keep it light, it doesn't work. It's particularly hard, that, and I sympathise with you. But it's pinks and greys. Those are the two colours you need, or the two sets of pencils you need to get it.
Great.
That would make a big difference to it. But definitely a background, definitely chop it off a bit. And don't ever be frightened to do that. I know you see me, and we've got a couple coming up where it works by using floating, and I'll explain that, why I say that when you get to it.
Okay. Well, thanks, Karen. It's a really good picture.
Oh, you've done really well. We've got some cracking artists around, haven't we?
We have. This is one from Jill, another dog.
Another one. Yeah, this is another one. This is a little bit. Now, Jill has also mentioned that she feels that she's taking too long in a picture, and I can do something in a fraction of the time that it takes her. This is only experience. I would say that one of the things that you've got to be careful of, Jill, is don't overdo, don't overthink, because I think that's what you might be doing. You might overthink it. If I looked at that ear that you've done on the right-hand side and you look at the original, you don't see the veins quite as much as you do on yours. Now, it looks as though you've either overworked that slightly to include those veins. Now, they might be there. You know, I'm not saying that they're not, but, because you can see them. But sometimes in artwork, you have to like lose things. You have to disguise things. You have to make them look more acceptable.
A little less prominent.
Yes.
You mean? Yeah.
Yes.
If they're overpowering.
Because when you look at the dog, that's what you see. And you shouldn't really see that, because if you looked at the photograph of the dog, I bet it took you a while to see those veins.
I see.
So I would say that you might be overthinking your work.
She says that it's 5 or 6 days spending on a picture. You know, that one. If it's that one, that it took 5 or 6 days. I mean, is that too long? Is it just depending on how long you're?
Well, it is if you're.
How many hours you're spending?
If you're working from beginning to end, it is too long. Yes, I wouldn't spend anything like that on that picture. If I was doing the picture, it would take me a day and a half probably to do. But I wouldn't have spent the time that she spent on the fur.
Right.
Now, okay, again, you can argue, well, yes, but if you put all the fur in every stroke and every blemish, of course it's going to take a long time. And I also wonder whether you need the collar.
Ah, yes.
Because that's a day's work in itself.
So is it, I mean, it's impossible to say how long, and obviously you said experience, because if it's taking you 1 or 2 days to do a picture like that, it's going to take another student longer.
Twice as long at least.
Yeah. So
but
it would be not to have too much of an expectation as well of keeping your expectations.
And the other thing when you're looking at a picture too, you have to think of, do I need as much body? If I haven't got the rest of the body, do I need that much body? Now, I always reckon if you look at the head, the actual head itself, from the top of the head to the bottom of the jaw, if you put that down here, let's say, it would just drop below the chain. Just go up, Steve. Stop, that's it. Now, that is slightly more, you know, you cut another day off. But it's not the point. The point is, now that chain doesn't look so bad now, does it? These are the things you've got to think about when you're doing a picture. You have to think through I would also have given it just a little bit more margin at the top. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
because you've got a little bit close to the top of the head there, and backgrounds don't take any time at all. They really don't. So you could afford to spend a bit of time on that. And this is a situation too where you could actually cut that diagonally, almost in line with the chain, and fog it, like we were talking about earlier, rather than cut it off. You've got two choices. You can cut it off, or yes, below it would start. That. Yes, you'd have to make it longer on the left-hand side than you would on the right.
Yeah.
Look at some of my pictures and you'll see how it works.
Yes.
And that, as I say, it cuts down time. The customer is not going to make any difference to them. They're going to love that, because what use is that bottom half of the dog? I mean, as far as the dog's concerned, it's very useful. but as far as we're concerned, it isn't. Do you think? It's kind of an unnecessary bit. And if I was doing the picture, I wouldn't have put all that neck in, or body in, should I say?
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, look, these are only, whatever I tell you, Jill, and everybody else as well, are just my views, and you can take them, or you can say no, I want to do what I want to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. You carry on doing it. But this is the sort of thing that, in my experience, helps to sell pictures. Because you're focusing in on what really is important, and what's really important here is the face.
And all three pictures we've looked at the moment, we've seen areas that could be changed in composition. That's been interesting.
I think this has come over quite well on this particular picture.
Good examples here of how.
And we've got another one coming up next.
Good. Well, in a bit, after the next one.
No. The next one. You'll see what I mean.
Okay.
When you get to it, you'll see what I mean.
Anyway, great job, Jill. It's a really lovely picture.
Oh, beautiful
really,
picture.
really
You're
pleased
doing very well. Don't worry about the time you're taking as well. Time, I've said this before many, many times. When you're starting off, you need that time. And if it takes you that long, it takes you that long. Gradually, you will speed up. And, but it's very important to stick to your guns on something like this
and enjoy it as well. If you're spending the time, enjoy the time that you're spending on it too, right?
That's right.
Where's that dog? That's not meant to be there.
No, he's encroached.
He's escaped.
He shouldn't be there, Steve. But he's obviously very friendly with that cat.
Yeah, they like each other. This is Jill as well, actually. I forgot we had this one.
This is what I'm talking.
Cat.
This is exactly what I was talking
same
about.
composition.
Now let me, if you haven't done this, Jill, have you yet? So let me do some alterations. I want Steve to bring that up to about there.
You've got your finger on the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
People can't see that.
No, stop. Now, if you look at the cat, start with a cat and bring it down, it's probably one cat's head below that. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, squeeze in a bit on the left-hand side now. Just tiny, not too much. That's it. Right, stop. And now on the right-hand side, just a little bit, stop. Now, okay, lovely. Now, that picture is much better now, even if you put the collar in, which I think is very attractive, to be honest. The reason I like the collar and would elect to do it is because we've got a little, I hope the cat will forgive me for saying, a little boring color there. Because it's just one color. We haven't got, like a tabby would have so many colors. This hasn't, but it's got beautiful eyes, a cracking little nose, and a good collar. And from an artist's point of view, I love doing that collar. But that's the composition I would use. So what does Jill want to know? No,
it's it's the colours of the fur, the lighter areas specifically. So I'm guessing around here and around here.
Okay. Well, anything that's brown needs a grey undertone. So you would use the 270 would be a very good colour. I'd practice this on spare paper before you actually start the picture, though. I'd put a little bit of that on, and you'll find that the 270 would give you that light greyish look that you can see, especially under the mouth on the right-hand side, and of course on the fur. And then you'll have to play with your colours. Now, I can't tell you what colours they are. It's like a chocolatey colour, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but you'll have to whittle them down. You'll have to start with that and then whittle them down. Whether you need, if you look at the if you look at the top of the head, just here, Stephen, there. See, I can do this, folks, now. I don't have to explain. That's it. You see, that's a very pretty colour, that. Now, that is reminiscent of 186. So if we were to put some grey in there, that is the 270, maybe a touch of 273, but not too much, and then put 186, you wouldn't be very far away from that colour. Then you'd need the stronger browns. Right. I can't tell you what they are because I haven't done the cat.
You did a chocolate Labrador video many years ago that we did, which is on the members site. Those colours, the chocolate lab, are going to be similar.
Very much so.
It might help anyway, Jill. It's in the tips and techniques. If all in members, I think you've got the tips and techniques. Anyway, there's a chocolate lab. If you search the site for that, that might help.
And the background colour there, again, you could start off with grey, and then you could add, I'd make it a little bit more.
What colour would you
actually, if you go up top of the head, you see that bluish greyish colour. That would be quite nice, with just a hint of the red in it as well to pick up the collar, and with just a hint of ochre in it as well, that greeny ochre, and that will pick up the eyes.
Ah, yeah.
So you pick up the eyes, you pick up the collar, and you pick up the, and that, Jill, I'm looking forward to seeing when you finish it.
Fantastic. Thanks for sending that in. Let's back to this escaped doggy. This is from Emma. Emma says, "Hi Colin, I've recently joined your website and drawn a number of animals now. I loved it so much that I decided to draw a picture of my recluse lurcher called Lady." Have I said that right? Lurcher? Is that lurcher?
Yeah, the lurcher. Yes,
we adopted her last week. As you can tell, she has not had a very good upbringing from her scars and ears. I would like to like feedback on the colours I've used, as I wasn't very confident I got those right. And also, is the background okay? Any other feedback is greatly appreciated. Can I also say what a wonderful artist you are?
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, that's kind of
that's great. I hope you'll still agree with me when I pull this to bits. No, I won't. I wouldn't be so cruel. I don't need to, because I think you've done a great job. Once again, as I said, we've got some cracking artists, but I can tell you how to improve it. One thing you'll notice, there's no collar. Well done, well done. That would have killed that picture stone dead had you put that on. Now, the colour that you see there on the reference picture, you see that brown colour, brownish colour there. Well, that should be no problem in adding that to yours. And I think you'll probably find that's a mixture of 176 and 283. You might need to put both on, and going on to the top of that would look great because you've already got the base colour. And that will change the colour. Now, the other thing that I would say do, the background isn't bad. And I love the way, this is what I was saying to you earlier, I love the way that we've done
that's
now that you see how
really
it works. Now, if you go back to that one, what I was talking about earlier with Jill's, you see what it would have, not quite the same, but it's a similar idea.
Yeah.
The only thing with that is you've got to make the colour just a little stronger, because you have, I would say, if you use some, you know, those colours I was talking about, the 283 and 176, a little bit of that in the background would have made a difference as well, just rubbed into the colours that you've got there.
Okay.
That would have helped. And so you wouldn't have then quite so much of a contrast between the dark. The other thing you could do is lose the dark on the edge of that area. That's just there, Stephen. There.
Right, lose the dark, so it fades.
So it fades
more into there.
Yeah, the light fades into it more.
Okay. That
would help. And anyway, let's come back to the animal. The only thing I'm not very happy with here is under the chin. Now that needs to be a little stronger. That area down there, you've got a light background, which is okay, nothing wrong with that, but you do need that to be.
How do you make that stronger if you're looking at it?
Well, you just put the grey, and those are the colours that you've used. 182 possibly, I think you probably use 182. You just do a little bit, especially just under the chin. It will bring the head away from the neck.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's kind of merging a bit.
I see.
Be tentative, be careful. Watch too, one other small thing, and it is only a small thing. You know, as you come down, go down a little bit, and I'll tell you when to stop. Stop! He's got kind of a little bit of an Adam's apple, which now I can see why you've done it, because if you look at the collar, how it pulls it in. But I don't think it did that. I think that would be more straight there. So a little bit of a rubber job on that, and make it a little straighter, because it's a little bit of a lump in his throat, which I don't think should be there. But that's easy to get over. You can get over that easy. Now, the final thing, and this is something that is only my opinion, and you might think, no, I want to leave it there, is the scar on his nose.
Ah, yes.
When you get a situation like this, you have choices to make. You can either put it in, but let me for a moment go into fantasy land, and you can ask your little friend, your little lurcher friend, if I was to do a portrait of you, would you like me to put that scar on your nose? What do you think he would say? No, please don't do that. Can you just sort of put a bit of makeup on it or whatever?
Fill it in.
Now, so, okay, let's come back to reality. I understand why you did it, because that earmarks the dog for you as your dog. And if you want to keep it there, I would say do so by all means, but fade it a bit, make it just a little bit less obvious. If it was my dog, I'd lose it altogether. Because at one time, you've got to remember, he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Now, this is only my opinion, Steve, right? And I'm going to be pulled over the coals on this, because I've never actually said anything quite like this before. But there was a story, I don't think I've ever told you. There was a famous portrait artist was asked to do a commission of a young child from quite a wealthy family. And the only problem with this child, he had a squint in the eye, one of his eyes, right? And the artist was in two minds and asked the parents, now, what shall I do? Oh, no, well, you've got to do it. You've got to put the squint in, because that's him.
Yeah.
You know? Otherwise, it wouldn't be him. So the artist went and did it. When the child looked at that, he actually burst into tears and never looked at the picture again.
Oh.
Now, I know you think, well, that's very sad, but what's the poor artist to do? Well, what he can do in a situation like that, which is similar to what I was telling you about the lurcher, you can still put the squint in, but you can make it very, very less obvious. Okay?
Yeah.
You can still do it. You can still do the thing, but you make it less obvious. So when the child looked at it, it wouldn't be obvious. Now, I hope this helps.
That's a really good point, actually, with artwork. I think that's a really good, honest point. I think you are being true to the animal, but then you're also highlighting, you're not bringing all the attention to it.
That's right.
You're highlighting it as a feature, but it's not, there's more to see other than that, isn't there?
You've got to think, you see, if people look at that picture and in years to come, when poor Lurcher is no more or has gone to doggy land, doggy heaven, shall I say?
Yeah.
And that picture is there. It's marked him for life, isn't it? And it does seem a little bit of a shame, because he's obviously much loved, and he deserves to be. He's had a rough life so far.
Yeah.
And he deserves to be. And I say it's a lady, isn't it?
It is a lady.
I know. See, first mistake, Colin. Read the text.
Yeah. But yeah, too right as well. I mean, that's a really good point that you've raised there. And so that could be faded. That could be
easily.
just faded a little bit.
Easily. If you want it there, fade it slightly. Just all you have to do, if it was me, I would use my double-ended eraser, a soft end, and just gradually fade it away, so that when you see it, you think, that's about right. And then just use a little bit of white just to, disguise it a bit, make it a little less obvious, because my goodness, it's pretty obvious on the poor animal. I mean,
yeah,
we're lucky in a way that the animals don't think like we do. He don't know he's got it there.
She doesn't know.
She doesn't know. She doesn't know that, so the animal is oblivious to it all, but we do. And it's my job, really, to help you as much as I can. I hope I have.
I think you have to. Well, that's the end of the submissions this week. Mainly dogs, but we love dogs, and that's there's lots of tips in there. I hope you've all got a lot from that. I certainly have. And I think there's a lot to learn from this, and keep them coming as well. Keep sending your pictures in for feedback. Obviously, this is a service reserved for members only. So if you're watching this and you want to become a member, then go to colinbradleyart.com, and there's a sign up button along the top, and our memberships start from $3.99. So you can get learning from Colin, and you can get watching the videos and get this service for that very small price. And we'll keep doing these every 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, that will be, yes, we'll be doing it. It'll be the last one before our trip to America. And if you want to hear more about that and hear us announce that, then listen to our podcast, which is also on this channel, but it's also on our website. So yes, we'll leave it there for this week. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
See you later.